There are over 35 new drugstore launches in this container right here. Don't you dare. And I have been putting all of them to the test with swatches, application footage, and wear tests to help you to figure out if any of these are actually worth a purchase, since even the drugstore ain't cheap these days. Starting off with makeup and a new primer from e.l.f. This is the Power Grip Matte Primer. So this is actually e.l.f.'s third version of the Power Grip Primer because they have the original, which is green. They have a pink one that has 4% niacinamide, and now this one, which of course is matte. So in addition to being a primer that's grippy and supposed to help with long makeup wear, it is also supposed to minimize a look of excess shine for a smooth matte finish. I saw that they were highlighting the fact that it's infused with lemon myrtle blend, to which I was like, what? But it turns out it's an ingredient that's actually extracted from the leaves of lemon myrtle trees called, how do you say that word? Bacchosia? Bacchosia? How did I get that first version? Okay, I'm not even gonna attempt this. This is the word. And it turns out that ingredient is actually an astringent, which makes perfect sense for a mattifying primer. In addition to that, this also contains niacinamide and is fragrance and essential oil free. This is a thick, stiff, tacky primer. I'll show you the texture on the back of my hand compared to the original Power Grip in case you're curious. So this is the matte version, and then here we have the original. And as you can see, the original is just a little bit more runny. It's definitely not a primer that feels super elegant and silky to apply, but I also would not say that about the original Power Grip Primer. I think just because of the fact that both of these are thicker and have that really grippy effect, it just, the pairing of those two things kind of makes for, yeah, like a not so silky application. But aside from that, there are no actual issues with the texture or the way that it applies. While this definitely is something that is very matte, which we will get to in a second, the one bullet point that I don't agree with is the fact that it's supposed to be smoothing. Maybe in the sense that it just like smooths over your skin and gives you a more even like base for makeup, but in terms of a pore blurring effect and smoothing in that sense, I don't get that effect. But like I said, I can absolutely agree with the fact that this is matte. So much so that at first I feel like it does kind of make my makeup look worse. Like it sucks the life out a little bit. It looks really dry. It looks more makeup-y, but with longer wear and as my oils start to come in, that does definitely improve. And if I pair this with a foundation that does start to get a little bit too greasy on my skin as the day goes on, I actually find that to be a match made in heaven. One of which is something that we're gonna get to in a little bit. It is a new foundation from Maybelline, but I feel like the e.l.f. primer mixed with this looks flawless by end of day. So if you're someone with extremely oily skin and you're okay with a little bit of a thicker, not super elegant texture, then I think that you will love this if you are looking to tone down those oils and get all day makeup wear. Or if you're someone like me and isn't like crazy oily, but can start to look greasy with certain foundations at the end of the day, then I think that this would be a great one for you as well. Next is a new addition to the L'Oreal Lumi family. So they had their original Lumi primer, which does come in a few different shades, but now they have made a tint version of that, which is the Lumi Lay Glow Tint. So this is supposed to be a lightweight water-based skin tint where healthy glow meets the breathable coverage of a foundation. It's formulated with reflective pearls, blurring pigments, and 82% hydrating serum for a soft lit glow. And the overall effect is supposed to be a natural makeup result that minimizes color imperfection. This contains niacinamide, ascorbylglucoside, and sorbitol while also being fragrance and essential oil free, and it's available in 16 different shades. I picked up the shade 120 Neutral because if I'm remembering correctly and looking at the lighter shades, they were like really, really intensely either warm or cool. Let me double check. Yeah, so the two lighter shades are cool, warm, and then neutral, but this is really peachy slash orange in undertone, so I would not consider this to be a true neutral. I really enjoyed the texture of this when I first swatched it on the back of my hand. It wasn't too thick, it was very silky and a little slippy, it was fluid, but I had a completely different experience when I started to apply this to my face with my fingers because it immediately starts to dry down and feel kind of like dry, but also a little greasy and a little stiff all at the same time. Which as I'm saying that out loud, I'm like, how can all of those things be true at once? But I can like feel this in my memory and I'm like, there was like a dry grease to it. Do you know what I mean? And because of how the texture dried down and the fact that it dried down so quickly, it did start making it difficult to blend nicely and it started streaking and pilling. So I felt that with this fully, you know, to the best of my ability, blended in on my skin with my fingers, it just looked like it was sitting on top of my skin instead of nicely kind of melted and blended and sunken in. You know what I mean? I would say that I get light coverage with this, but it is intensely radiant in finish. I definitely don't agree that by itself it has this natural soft lit glow that they claim that it does. It's just way too much for my personal preference. And I also think that, unsurprisingly, because of how radiant it is, it does just emphasize the look of texture and pores. So in an attempt to tone down that intensely radiant finish, I went ahead and put my L'Oreal Skin Tint on top of that next. And that made it much more wearable for me, especially once I set it with powder and did the rest of my makeup. I was like, ooh yeah, that actually is a very pretty glow. But because of the issues that I had when applying it that way, I felt like it looked nice from afar, but up close I could still see where it was like streaking and pilling underneath. So I knew that I wanted to try this again, just mixed together with foundation. That's usually what I do with glow primers anyway, but because of the way that they described this, I wanted to try it out by itself first. So knowing that that was a pass for me, I was like, let's try what I normally do. And like that, I loved it. So you're still seeing this with the L'Oreal Skin Tint, but again, instead of being underneath it, it's just mixed directly together with it. And that, I think, does give me that like gorgeous, soft focus glow. I think it's so pretty. It wears really well for me. Love, love, love it like that, but not by itself. So I think that I'll pick up one of the lighter two shades in this and then continue to use it like that and see if maybe this will permanently replace my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter that I use for that same reason. We'll see. Next, we have another skin tint from NYX. This is their Buttermilk Glaze Soft Glow Tint with Broad Spectrum SPF 30. So this is supposed to be a skin tint that gives you glazed donut skin in addition to SPF 30 protection and is supposed to wear for up to 12 hours. This is one that I would say is like a true skincare makeup hybrid based on the ingredients. It has niacinamide, green tea leaf extract, mango seed butter, shea butter, hyaluronic acid, and adenosine. It does have added fragrance if that's something that is a no for you. I actually think that this smells so good. It's like tropical and sunscreen. It smells like summer. Yum. It's available in 10 shades and I picked up the shade 01 Whipped Butter, which they describe as being fair with a neutral undertone. I would say that this one also pulls peachy, but not as much as the L'Oreal Skin Tint. This has a creamy texture that's on the thicker side, but I agree that it feels very soft and buttery, at least at first, because it starts to get sticky as you blend. So my initial application attempt with a sponge was a complete fail. It just got so sticky that it started to pick up the product and literally like remove it after I'm setting it down on my face. And it just made it impossible to blend. Even when I tried to go in with my fingers and blend after that, it just made it worse. So my second attempt was to ditch the sponge and just use my fingers, but that was still kind of a mess. It was streaky, it was patchy, and I still found it difficult to blend. I am able to eventually get it to be mostly blended out, but up close, I can still see that there are some areas that are a little streaky and a little patchy. I can kind of just like see it sitting on my skin, especially around my hairline and my jawline. And it does start to feel a little bit greasy. It's not like I feel like I'm dripping in grease when I'm wearing it, but it does just kind of have that classic sunscreen feel where when you touch it, it does feel a little bit greasy. So after basically hating it the first couple of times I tried it, I went to go look at the reviews on Ulta and see if anyone else was having the same experience as me. And I saw several people say like, oh my God, this glides on, it's so smooth, it's a dream. So I was like, that's it, I'm trying one more time. And the way that I was able to get this to work and not be so difficult when applying is to work in small sections. So I did like one cheek at a time and then the other cheek and then my forehead, which may not be a deal breaker for you, but to me, when I have so many other amazing skin tints that are not so difficult to work with, I'm like, what's the freaking point of this? The one thing that I do end up loving about it is actually the finish. They say it's supposed to have sheer coverage with a dewy finish, but I actually don't get a dewy finish with this. I feel like it just fully dries down and has a glow instead of any sort of wet effect. So I think that that is really beautiful, but when the coverage is so sheer and there are all of these things that I hate about it in terms of application and feel, again, I'm like, what's the point? Next up is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Skin Tint. This is supposed to be ultra lightweight, have a silky formula, melt into the skin, buildable light to medium coverage, and a natural soft matte second skin finish. So I was like, gimme. Ingredient highlights include muru muru seed butter, guava extract, and it is fragrance and essential oil free. This has 25 shades and I picked up the shade 03 Light Neutral. The skin tone match for me is not perfectly spot on, but I do think that it's much more neutral than, again, like the L'Oreal skin tint. This does have a creamier texture, but it's one that thins out as you spread it, so it's not the easiest to spread with something like a damp beauty sponge, which is what I normally like to use to apply my complexion products. So I applied this with a brush every time that I used it. And with a brush, I think it's easy to blend and I had no issues with application. I do agree that this has buildable coverage. I would say it's like light to medium to almost medium / full, but I do not agree with all of their claims about this having a natural soft matte second skin finish at all. I mean, maybe for like the first 5 to 10 minutes max after putting it on, but after that, it gets greasy so quickly, which you can definitely see in this wear test footage here. This was actually only a few hours after applying it, and I saw myself in the mirror and was like, oh my God, I have to blot this now. So I wanted to show you guys what that looked like. And then I went ahead and blotted it with my MAC blot powder. After that, the end of day wear looked much better than it did at first. But even still, I was like, I don't know that this is gonna work out for me. We'll keep trying it with different powders, see if I can make it work. But I had this issue every single time that I wore it, no matter what I set it with. It just looked so greasy on me. Like, ugh. It's just not something that works for my skin type, unfortunately, but if you are somebody that has really, really dry skin and you need something to just like bring that, not oil back to your face, but like kinda, then this might be exactly what you're looking for. Now we are ready for that foundation that I mentioned earlier. This is the new Maybelline Lumi Matte Foundation. This is supposed to deliver buildable coverage with up to 30-hour wear. Again, like who's wearing foundation for 30 hours? With a light as air formula that gives a luminous matte finish. Ingredient highlights include proline, niacinamide, glutamic acid, and it's fragrance and essential oil free. This comes in 24 shades and I picked up the shade 112. I also got 118, which is way too dark for me. This will be a good self-tan shade. And 112 is a little bit too dark for me, so I'm gonna see if they have any lighter shades that still have a neutral undertone. The texture of this is very thin and lightweight, but it also is slippy, so it's super easy to apply. It's just one of those that I feel like I can throw on without issue. I get medium to full coverage with it, and initially it doesn't look as luminous as I was expecting. I feel like it's probably just because of the fact that we have so many products like this that say that they are luminous but then end up looking like the Tin Man. Thankfully, this is not like that at all. I feel like it actually has more of a satin matte finish at first, maybe a little bit of a glow, but it's subtle, and I think it looks beautiful. I feel like where the Lumi name comes into effect for me is with wear. With more of a mattifying setting powder, wearing really like natural dry down sunscreen products underneath, it's a lot better, but it still does look a little bit too oily in my T-zone for my preference. So after trying it several times with different combinations like that, I thought that I was just gonna have to like let it go and be like, this doesn't work for me, until I tried it with this e.l.f. Power Grip Matte Primer. These are, like I said, an absolute match made in heaven. So while this did not end up being what I was hoping for by itself, it's definitely something that I can get to look beautiful with a little bit of finagling. So now that I know I can get this to work in that way, I need to do some more wear tests comparing this to the other Maybelline skin tint that I really love, and I will keep you guys updated on that in the future. Maybe this will replace that, maybe not, we'll see. Next up, we have the Revlon Glimmer Brightening Concealer. This is supposed to instantly brighten and color correct, not look heavy or cakey, have an ultra lightweight formula that moves with your skin, helps to prevent new fine lines from forming. No, you don't. Come on. Sorry. This is only available in 8 shades, which is just not enough for a concealer. And this shade, 125, is actually too light and bright for me. The texture is very, very thin and lightweight, but it has like zero slip or slide. And if you watched my last Get Ready with me, then you already kind of know my thoughts on this, right? Did I say what they were in that? Or did I just tell you that I didn't like it? I can't remember. I was testing it in that video for one final time and I was like, that's it. I don't like you. Because it's just not easy to work with. It dries down really quickly and almost becomes sticky. So it starts to like cling in some areas, go patchy in others, because similar to what I was saying with that NYX skin tint, it will literally like lift up because of how sticky it gets. Almost every time that I tested this out, I had to take it off because it just looked so bad and I wasn't able to blend it out because it was just like sticky and stuck, which makes me feel like this would be really difficult to work with if you did have heavy fine lines, because like if you're trying to work through anything that's not super smooth under your eyes, like, ugh, that would seem like a nightmare. But working at lightning speed allowed me to like get this to work enough for me to actually just like evaluate how it looked and do a wear test. And to that, I would say that it has light to light / medium coverage. I can definitely still see dark circles and discoloration. So if you're hoping for more coverage there, then this wouldn't be the concealer for you. And by itself, I actually do think that the finish is what's prettiest about this. It's very fresh and skin-like. And the other thing that I think is nice about this is if you are able to get this perfectly blended out, you know, really quickly, lightning speed, like I said, it actually does wear nice. There's no heavy settling in lines or creases for me. It kind of does just stay put, but it's difficult to put in that position in the first place, which is why this concealer has not found a new home in my collection. Next up is the pressed version of the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. So if you know me, you know that I love, love, love the non-pressed version. What do I call that? The non-pressed Halo Glow Setting Powder? Sure. They now have a pressed version that is supposed to be a light buildable ultra-fine setting pressed ultra-fine pressed setting powder that blurs the appearance of skin, reduces shine, and sets makeup for a soft focus glow that lasts. This has 12 shades, and I picked up the shade Fair Neutral Cool because I was feeling very confused by the names of their shades and how they looked, which does not surprise me one bit because I always struggle with e.l.f. shades. To the touch, this is nice and silky, but it's definitely something that picks up a little bit heavy, which I think is why this just makes my makeup look more makeup-y. Do you know what I mean? Like, putting this on top of my makeup is like, ugh. I look like I'm wearing a lot of makeup, which is never what I want. I also don't really feel like this blurs for me. If anything, up close, I feel like I really notice my pores and texture more with this powder than any of my other favorites. And my under eyes especially, probably just because of the fact that this is heavier and a little bit more powdery, I just feel like they look makeup-y, a little dry, a little creasy. There's just not really anything about this that I love except for the fact that I do think it has a pretty subtle, diffused kind of glow. And I actually think I kind of start to like this better with wear because just as my oils come through, I feel like it helps to take away from that more powdery makeup-y look. But even still, it's just not a powder that I'm obsessed with. I like all of my other favorite setting powders 100 times more, including the non-pressed version of this. Next up is something I was really excited to try. Maybelline came out with Lifter Sticks, which are multi-use face sticks meant for foundation, for concealing, for bronzing, and contouring. They have 18 different shades, and I picked up the shades 30 and 45. 45 is a little bit too deep for my natural skin. It's perfect for self-tanner, but shade 30 is perfect for my fair skin. Ugh, I think this is like the perfect undertone where there's just a hint of warmth, but it's not orange at all. I think that this is the thinnest and driest cream contour that I've ever tried, but that actually makes sense for the type of product that this is, since it's also supposed to be used as foundation. Like, of course, you're not gonna want something that's really creamy or wet or, yeah, like, you know, how some cream contours and bronzers can just be a little heavy. This is not like that at all, which I really like about it. I like how lightweight it is. The only thing is that I then have to adjust my application technique a little bit. With a really creamy cream bronzer or contour, I can just like slap that on, slide it, you know, with a brush, no problem. It blends really easy. With this, because of the fact that it's a bit drier, I do have to pounce it into my skin. Otherwise, it can kind of lift up the makeup that I have underneath if I do swipe. It has buildable pigment that is buildable enough to not need to be reapplied on top of powder. Like, it's not one of those that disappears once I set it. And it has a natural matte finish that I think pairs really well with a lot of the glowier complexion products that I like to wear. So I love the look of this. I think that it wears really well, but unfortunately I noticed that with repeated use, I was starting to get little texture bumps on my cheeks where I applied it, like little tiny red clogged pores. And because you guys know I have been going through an acne journey over the last several months, that spooked me enough to not want to test this out as an all over foundation. I was like, I cannot just have like a severe breakout again or I will lose my mind. So I think it's something that I'll test out again in the future just to like make sure that it's actually this that was giving me those bumps, but I'm pretty positive that it was. So for now, it's not going to be something that I am using consistently in my makeup routine. I maybe will test it out again in the future now that I do feel like my skin is like more normalized on my to zero routine, which is such a bummer because everything else about it I was really enjoying and I really thought like this was gonna be my drugstore alternative to to nude sticks. Alas, probably not. Okay, I am so sorry, Revlon, but like, what's going on with you? This is the weirdest thing. They came out with like 100 million new launches that have the name Glimmer on it, but they're all like different and not related. I don't really get it. Glimmer was their thing. So this is the Revlon Glimmer Blush Drops, which is supposed to be a lightweight liquid to velvety powder-like finish, but also serum-like. How does that work? That visibly plumps cheeks with hydration for an instant lifted effect without greasiness or stickiness. I do not agree. You're telling me this is gonna lift my cheeks? No. This is officially the strangest blush ever. So the packaging, I was so confused by at first because it's this little tiny freaking syringe thing. And I was like, hello? How do I get it out? So I was like dragging it across my hand. Then I realized that you're supposed to shake it up and actually like click the top of this. It says, one click is all you need. So I'm like, okay, I get it a little more, but also like, why? I don't think that there is anything remotely serum-y about this. It is straight up liquid to powder. And similar to the concealer, but honestly even worse, this dries basically instantly and makes it so difficult to work with. How I normally apply liquid blushes for nicest application, if you will, is to put it on the back of my hand, blend it out there, pick it up with a brush, and then apply it to my cheek. That is basically impossible to do with this formula because of how quickly it dries when I kind of like spread it out to try to make sure that I can get it evenly applied on the brush or like picked up evenly for even application. No, I basically can't pick any product up because of how fast it dries. Like I can't get the color to transfer. And I don't feel that this is the kind of blush I could just put straight on my cheeks because it's intensely pigmented. I also tried applying with my fingers. I tried to immediately pick it up with a blush pick up the blush with a brush so that it didn't have time to dry on my hand, but then it just started drying so fast on my cheeks that it was a patchy mess. Sorry, Revlon, no offense, but I hate you. This is one of the few products where I was like, I can't get this to work. I can't wear this. I can't properly review this because it's such a disaster to work with. Last for thy face is the ColourPop Liquid Highlight. So this is supposed to be a silky, weightless liquid highlighter for an instant dewy glow. And they say that this should effortlessly blend into the skin and layer well without disturbing your makeup underneath. Keep that in mind. This comes in 3 shades and I picked up the shade Sugar Donut, which is an ivory champagne that I think is really beautiful. And the texture is not super thick. It's very creamy, but like thin enough. And it's also pretty wet, which I think is why every time that I tried to apply this, whether that be with my fingers or a sponge, it would lift up my makeup underneath it. I just couldn't get this one to work for me. I feel like even if it didn't like fully lift up my foundation, it disturbed it. So you could see that it just like wasn't seamlessly blended anymore, which is not an issue that I had with the Rare Beauty Liquid Highlight, which they're clearly trying to knock off here. Obviously, you can get around that issue by applying it underneath makeup first, and then I think just even on bare skin, it does look really pretty. I just feel like it's so ingrained in my routine to apply any sort of liquid product like this, whether it be highlight, blush, contour on top of my foundation. So I'm like, am I gonna break that habit for this one product? No, I'm not. The only new eye product launch that sparked my interest is the Maybelline Super Fluff Brow Mousse. This is supposed to deliver buildable fluffy eyebrow volume that is stiff resistant and flake resistant and last all day. Stiff resistant, just mean like not stiff. Okay. It's available in 6 shades and I picked up the lightest shade Blonde, which is definitely too cool and too dark for me. That is like story of my life with drugstore brow products. It is so, well, really all brow products, but especially at the drugstore, I feel like it's nearly impossible to find a drugstore brow product that is light enough and not so ashy looking on me. I do agree with the fact that the formula is like a light as air mousse. It's super lightweight, but the application is kind of messy for me because I feel like where I really just need additional color is at the tail end of my brow, and my brows are really sparse there. So I feel like it's just kind of difficult to lay down in that spot. So overall, I think it just looks a bit too thick and messy for me, especially paired with the fact that the color's too dark. And this has essentially zero hold. I feel like my brows immediately fall after applying it. Another day, another drugstore product fail. This is a good time for a brief intermission. I have to go to the eye doctor, but we still need to get through lips, skincare, body care, and fragrance, so don't go too far. Editor Emily, cue intermission music. Thank you. I had the wrong appointment time. Why am I like this? But that's okay because it's time. I can't. It's time to talk about. Sorry. Good morning. One of my all-time favorite things to talk about, lip balm. Well, both editor Emily and myself were a little triggered by new lip balm launches for a while after my gigantic lip balm showdown, but I feel like it's been long enough to where I'm like, okay, I can start to review them again and not like have my heart rate accelerate. This is the ColourPop no, what? It doesn't even say pretty on the label. Am I okay? Fresh Kiss Glossy Lip Balm. This is supposed to be a cushiony lip balm that hydrates, softens, and smooths. Ingredient highlights include hyaluronic acid and tripeptide 1, and it's available in 7 different shades and flavors. In addition to one untinted or clear version, which I had to pick up because the fragrance is vanilla cake. Oh, it smells so good. It's like marshmallowy frosting. I'm obsessed with how this smells. And then I also got one of the tinted shades to try out, which is Strawberry Milk. This one doesn't smell quite as good as I was hoping. It's a little, it's kind of like strawberry soda more than strawberry milk, which isn't bad. It's just like not quite what I was hoping. And it is a sheer, bright, warm pink. This has a jelly balm texture that's a little bit slippy and isn't super thick or super thin. I would say it's definitely one that is lighter weight and not like the most thick and cushy, like you guys know I love, but it feels really nice to apply and it has great shine. The wear I would say is average to good, pretty standard for a lip balm, and I also kind of feel that way about the overall conditioning effect that I get with longer wear. It's definitely not bad, but not top tier for me. It's like, yeah, you're solid, but not the most conditioning, nourishing lip balm I've ever tried. I was seeing reviews saying that these are supposed to be a dupe for the Summer Fridays lip balm, and so first of all, I'm like, is ColourPop now trying to turn into a dupe brand like e.l.f? Because we have the Rare Beauty highlights and they also did this in the blush. I didn't pick up any of the blushes because I didn't like any of the shades, but it's like we've got the Rare attack here, now apparently Summer Fridays. Unsure, but that tracks because I feel like I feel really similarly about these that I do the Summer Fridays lip balm, where like they have some really cute shades, they feel good to apply, they have some really nice scents, but they're not the most impressive lip balm ever. This next lip balm is from a brand that I had never heard of before, but I saw it sitting at Target. It is the Provence Soft Bisous Plumping Lip Balm. Is that French?
Bisous.
It is. Fail on my part. This is supposed to be a rich, buttery balm that moisturizes, locks in hydration, softens, smooths, lasts all day, which sounds like perfection. Spoiler, it's not. Ingredient highlights in this include castor oil, squalane, jojoba esters, a peptide, hyaluronic acid, shea butter, plum kernel oil, and apricot kernel oil, and it's available in 2 shades and 1 clear option. I picked up clear because it's vanilla, and it just smells kind of weird. Like, I do smell some vanilla, but I also really smell plastic, which is also how it tastes. Like it tastes weird. I don't like how it tastes. This melts down on my lips to feel on the thinner side and very grainy. The shine is average to good, but it's not even something that I wanted to leave on my lips to do a wear test because of the fact that that graininess did not go away. The bad taste didn't go away. Just big fail for me. Another brand I saw sitting at Target that I had not heard of but wanted to pick up is Vitamasks. The first thing that I got from them is this lip mask in Sugar Cookie, obviously, which is supposed to seal in moisture, repair dryness overnight, fill in fine lines, and visibly plump, and cushion lips with a nourishing protective barrier. Some of these brands do such a good job of describing their products, even if they don't line up. Look at this ingredients list. Look at this. What's going on? I'm pretty sure this is like $4.99. The price will have obviously been on the screen, but squalane, panthenol, sucrose, allantoin, ascorbic acid, shea butter, ceramide NP, macadamia seed oil, mango seed butter, murumuru seed butter, cupachu butter, hyaluronic acid, a bunch of fruit extracts, a million peptides. I feel confused. This reminds me of It Cosmetics ingredients list where there's like a million beneficial ingredients and you're like, how much of that's really in there? And maybe it's the same amount as any other brand, but it does make me pause. This comes in 2 untinted flavors. Aside from Sugar Cookie, they also have a vanilla, and this does smell like Sugar Cookie. Like when I just sniff it like this, I'm like, oh, it smells so good. But as I'm applying it, I'm like, wait a minute. There's something pretty artificial about it, and I also really taste plastic with this. It's like plasticky cookies. I would say the texture of this is kind of like a hybrid between a gel and a cream. It's definitely something that is creamier than, like, let's say the ColourPop lip balm, which again was more of that jelly texture. This one is like creamy but not melty, and it's definitely on the thicker end, but not as thick as something like the Edam lip balm. I would say the shine with this is like average, moderate, nothing crazy, and it definitely doesn't, for me, fill lines or plump like they claim. And this is another that I just couldn't get myself to do a wear test with. Every time that I put it on, I took it off a few minutes later. I'm like, I like how it feels. It's soft, it has some nice cush, but that plasticky taste was just too overwhelming for me to want to leave this on. So this one is not for me. They also have another lip product called their Lip Butter Balm, which is supposed to have a luxuriously smooth formula that melts into lips and has a very similar ingredients list setup. A lot of the exact same ingredient highlights, not identical, but a million as well. And they have 6 different shades and flavors in this. I don't know if all of them are carried at Target, because on their website it looked like some were like limited edition holiday flavors. So 3 I think for sure. I got caramel. They described this as a subtle nude pink, and I actually feel like it's similar to my natural lip color, but a little bit deeper and a little bit warmer. I think the shade is really, really pretty, and this one has a very warm, sweet caramel scent that does not smell or taste like plastic to me. I really like it. And the texture is similar to the lip mask in that I would say it's also like a creamy gel kind of, but it's lighter. It has really nice cush. Like, I like how it coats and layers. It's just not super, super thick. Not super shiny, kind of just, again, like moderate levels of shine, which I know is definitely some of your guys' preference. I can get behind that sometimes. I'm like, I don't always need my lips to look like they're dripping off, but like, a lot of the times I like it. And the wear is good. It's definitely not super long wear by any means, but it doesn't fade super fast. So overall, I actually really enjoy this one. The smell, the color, the nice feel, like all of it is very nice. Next is a lip mask from the brand Nature Well, which I did not realize was like a full-on dupe brand. I don't think they started that way, but I reviewed them in my last New at the Drugstore video because they came out with Sol de Janeiro body cream and mist dupes. I thought that was all that they had, but they also have lip masks, this one and a berry one, clearly trying to dupe Laneige. This is supposed to have a luxurious, non-greasy texture with high shine. It contains shea butter, coconut oil, sunflower seed oil, castor seed oil, and vitamin C, and I obviously picked up the vanilla scent. They do also have berry. This, artificially sweet, plastic, tastes really plasticky too. And aside from the smell not being anything like Laneige, the texture is nothing like it either. Like, it's just straight up across the board, not a dupe. It's much more like stiff in the tub, and it seems like it's gonna be quite a bit thicker at first, but it really melts down into something that almost feels more like a lip oil for me. It just kind of has that like light, slick feel to it that a lip oil does, like a true oily lip oil, that is, because obviously a lot of things say lip oil, but they don't necessarily feel like oil. It still is very softening, so it's not like it's bad. It's just that it's not a dupe for Laneige, which is just very, I mean, it's what they described. It's like luxurious, melty, creamy. This is not that same experience, which honestly kind of surprises me because they were spot on with the fragrances, at least for the Sol de Janeiro dupes. Not the texture as much, but yeah, I'm surprised by how much this is not a dupe after trying those. Anything that tastes this plasticky is just an immediate no for me. L'Oreal came out with a lip oil. It is called the Plump Ambition Hyaluron Lip Oil, which is supposed to have a cushiony pillow applicator with massaging beads to caress lips for luxurious application. Sounds fabulous. Ingredient callouts in this include hyaluronic acid and a peptide, and they have 10 different shades. I originally purchased 380 Rouge in Love and 601 Worth It, and then I actually got a couple more shades from them in PR, so I may as well do some swatches for you guys while we're here. So this right here is crystal clear, which is pretty much clear with like a very faint iridescent purpley pink throughout. Then we have 201 Milky New. What? It's a very light baby pink. Worth It is a really beautiful cool toned pink that has light to medium color coverage. And Rouge in Love is a bright, hot pinky red with sheer to light color coverage. I actually love the initial application of these. I'm not sure that I notice massaging beads. Wait, I'll show you guys. You can like faintly see what they're talking about. I do see beads in there, but again, I'm not sure that that's like what I was actually feeling when I was applying it. I feel like I just noticed that the applicator is very pillowy and soft. And the texture of the lip oil itself initially feels very smooth and cushy, but it starts burning very quickly. It's one of those lip oils that's very, very minty, like a pretty intense mint smell, mint taste, mint tingle, mint everything. It is like a sweet mint, so I'll give them that. Sometimes mint scents are disgusting. This one, if you like mint, it's a sweet mint. It's just a lot. Aside from that, I think it has really pretty shine. It's not something that's like super overly glossy and drippy looking, but perfectly glossy for those that aren't so extreme as me. And I would say that the lasting power is like average to good. The color definitely lasts longer for me than the actual cushy feel of the oil, but it's not like crazy fast fading. I really, really, really would have loved if they came out with this without that burning sensation. I feel like this would be something that would be such a great drugstore option, but it's potent enough that it does ruin it for me. But if you like that sort of thing, the application is fun and they have some cute shades. e.l.f. came out with a glittery version of their lip oil. This is called the e.l.f. Glow Reviver Lip Oil in their new glimmer finish. And you may remember, maybe not, because it was like a couple of years ago now that I reviewed it, but you may remember that I wasn't overly obsessed with the original non-glimmery version of this lip oil. It's something that also has a really minty smell and just didn't make my lips feel super conditioned. But when I saw these and the glitter, I was like, okay, I have to try. Ingredient highlights include squalane, apricot oil, avocado oil, jojoba oil, and pomegranate oil. They launched this in 8 different shades and I picked up 3 of them. First is Crystal Baller, which is a champagne with crystal pearl. Second is Princess Cut, which is a pinky beige with multicolor pearl. And third is Divine Wine, which is a berry with pink pearl. So this one is Princess Cut. It actually looks crazy with my bright lights. Without the bright studio lighting, because I do have footage in natural light as well, I feel like, oh my gosh, just like the way that that glitter pops is so cute. And the texture is interesting. It's kind of like a jelly balm. Definitely doesn't feel oily at all. You can feel the glitter a little bit, like it's not completely smooth, but it's subtle enough that it doesn't really bother me. And while this does definitely still have a little bit of that cooling burning sensation, it's not nearly as intense as so many of the other lip plumpers that I've tried over the past year. Like I feel like they have just gotten extreme. Wear for these is average. I feel like they start to kind of like go a little like gummy almost on my lips. They're definitely not long wear. So overall for like a lip oil, again, I'm not super impressed with the formula itself in the way that I am my absolute favorite lip oils. However, for makeup purposes, which is what this is for me, so cute. We have another lip oil. This is from Essence. It is their Hydra Kiss lip oil. This is supposed to give intense hydration, high gloss finish, and a hint of color for a stunning pout. It has jojoba seed oil, meadow foam seed oil, and hyaluronic acid. This comes in 4 shades, and what I did not realize is also 4 flavors, or I would not have gotten this one because I picked up Kiss from a Rose, and I do not like rose flavored things. And this shade is supposed to be a sheer light pink, but I feel like I don't know. I'm like, am I going crazy or do I not really see much color at all? Despite really not liking the way that this smells and tastes, I got really excited when I first applied it because I was like, ooh, this is thick. It's got that just like nice cush and slick feel that I love. It's very high shine, but it gets sticky on me within like less than an hour and then just continues to feel stickier as time goes on. So this one did not quite work out for me, unfortunately. The last thing I have from that Vitamasks brand is also a lip oil. This is called the Vitamasks lip oil, right? Well, I guess this one is technically the Strawberry Glaze Glow Lip Oil. Your secret to juicy shine, deep hydration, and a sheer flush of pink perfection. This lightweight, non-sticky oil is packed with 15 ultra-nourishing plant oils. Yeah, we know it's packed. Same situation here with the ingredients list. So they have 2 shades, Cherry Glaze, and again, what I got, Strawberry Glaze, which is a sheer hot pink. I don't know how to describe the smell of this. Like, I can see where they're getting strawberry, but when I apply it, I feel like I'm like, this kind of smells like fruit punch. Again, kind of something that's more like a strawberry soda versus like a creamy strawberry Yeah. This actually is kind of similar to the Essence Lip Oil and the overall experience that I have. It's not quite as thick, but it is a thicker option. I would say it's kind of like a stiffer gel. It has great shine, but it gets tacky relatively quickly and then just starts to get straight up sticky as time goes on. Another that feels nice at first, but beyond that is not something that I love. More Revlon Glimmer. The first being their Super Lustrous Glimmer Lip Oil, which I'm like, why did you call everything glimmer? This is the only product that makes sense to be called that because it's straight up glittery. I don't get it. Ingredient highlights in this include squalane, moringa seed oil, and kupachu seed butter. There are 6 shades, which all look to be sheer muted versions of very bright, bold colors. I picked up the shade 03 Glow Mama, which is a sheer hot pink. It's a really pretty shade. This is not supposed to have any kind of scent, but it smells chemically to me, and it also tastes like chemicals too. Ugh, what is that? This doesn't feel oily at all. It's kind of like a traditional lip gloss that is a little bit balmy. It lands somewhere in the middle between thin and thick. I would say it's like semi-cushiony. They do say that this is supposed to smooth and plump. I don't get that effect any more with this than I do any other lip balm or gloss, but it has good shine and good wear. So overall, I would say all of that is good. It's certainly not something that I feel is like luxe, like they say, but the taste really does ruin it for me. Now for the Super Lustrous Glimmer. That's literally all it's called. Glimmer. Glimmer what? Glimmer Shimmer Shine. It's supposed to be a gloss that is the first lip gloss made with plant-based glitter. Is that true? Why do I not believe you? They say it has a luxe, non-gritty, non-sticky feel. We'll get to that. The ingredient highlights are the same as their lip oil, so squalane, moringa seed oil, and kupachu butter, and this is available in 10 shades. I picked up the shade 03 Lavender Lust, which looks so pretty in the swatches, but I feel like in person it makes my lips look cold. You know what I mean? It's just not the most flattering shade for me personally, but again, I think it swatches really pretty. Compared to the lip oil, I would say that this is a little bit tackier and absolutely a little bit gritty. You can definitely feel the glitter in it. It's not completely smooth. It's not uncomfortable or anything, but it's definitely noticeable. Every time I rub my lips together, I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. This one does not feel very conditioning on my lips at all, probably partially because of that glittery effect, and it's one that actually makes my lips feel dry after I have it on for a while. The glitter is definitely really fun. It has that nice diamondy effect, but it doesn't last very long, and it also has that same just like really chemically smell. I don't get it. So if you're looking for something that is super glittery like this, I just think that there are better options that smell better, that feel better, that last longer. Like even the e.l.f. glitter lip oils, I definitely prefer these. Non-glimmer from Revlon. There's a lot of Revlon in this video. This is something I was really excited about because they actually relaunched a product that they had previously discontinued that I used to really, really love. It is their Super Lustrous Glass Shine Balm. They say it's the exact same formula, just with new packaging. It's supposed to be comfortable, non-sticky, buttery soft. Ingredient highlights include hyaluronic acid and aloe, and it's available in 10 different shades. I picked up the shades Nude Illuminator, which I would say is like a peachy pink, Glossed Up Rose, which is a rosy pink, and Glazed Mauve, which is a purpley mauve. These are very, very creamy and slippery. They're kind of melty where like the bullet starts to melt. And applied, I would say that they're definitely on the thinner side, but they feel comfortable. They have light to medium pigment and a very high shine finish, kind of more of that wet look. They're not long wear, which is totally fine for me with a product like this. I think they're just not quite doing it for me like they used to. Like when I originally fell in love with these, oh my gosh, it was probably like 5 years ago at least, if not longer. And the lip category has really evolved since then. There have been a million lip launches, so many lip products that I'm obsessed with. These are just not quite stacking up compared to those newer launches. They're still really pretty, they're cute, they're fun, they're obviously affordable. Well, okay, they're still affordable. I was like, I better check the price first. So a good drugstore option, just no longer something that I'm like drooling over. Milani came out with their version of a clicky lip pen. Everyone's doing it. It's available in 12 different shades and I picked up 2 of them. The first is Ballet, which is a cool toned baby pink with sheer to light coverage. I love this shade. I think it's really cute. And I also love the other shade that I picked up, which is Moi. I would say it's a muted mauve and it's beautiful. This formula is very different from a lot of other clicky lip pens that I've tried. It's not melty or creamy at all, really. I would say it has more of a gel balm balm texture versus a melty one, and it's thicker and stiffer than a lot of those other options. I really like that about it. I think it coats my lips really well. Overall, just feels great when I'm applying it. It does start to tingle and cool a bit, but similar to e.l.f., it's not something that feels super intense. It's definitely tolerable compared to a lot of others. It's definitely not a super shiny product. I think that you can build it up to have good shine, but it's not one that I would say is super glossy. And for me, this one has good lasting power. So overall, I actually quite like these. It is finally time to move on from makeup and step into skincare. We have some skincare and body care left. This is gonna be the longest video ever. First up is something that I immediately purchased when I saw it launched. It's the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Spray. You guys know I love a facial mist and I love the Cicaplast range, so I could not help myself. This contains the La Roche-Posay Prebiotic Thermal Spring Water, madecassoside, panthenol, mannose, and manganese gluconate. And it's fragrance and essential oil free, but why? Is it sunscreen? Every time I spray this, I'm like, does that smell like sunscreen? This has a scent that I cannot place. It's fine. It's not like something I don't like. It's just something I notice that makes me feel confused. The spray itself feels really nice. It's very hydrating, but the mister isn't like, how would I describe it? It just doesn't spray out as widely, I think, as a lot of other facial mists that I have. So I feel like I'm like, do you know what I'm saying? Like I can't get that nice, fine, continuous mist with it like I can others, which is not a deal breaker. It's just something that I think would have made this even better. Obviously, this is not necessary in a skincare routine, but I think because I really enjoy the benefits of the other Cicaplast products, I like the idea of being able to add that to some degree with a super lightweight product that's like not their balm, not even their gel, even though you guys know I love that. Like to be able to just mist this and then use anything else that I want in my skincare routine, I like that. I appreciate that about it. CeraVe has launched 2 new shades in their tinted sunscreen. This is something that I actually reviewed in my OG drugstore tinted sunscreen showdown, which was a couple of years ago now. And at that point, they only had 1 shade, which I'm sure at that time they called Universal. But for me, I was like, this is a very warm toned, borderline orangey medium shade that is definitely not Universal. It worked for me with self-tan, but absolutely did not with my natural skin tone. So I was really excited to see that they have since expanded the shade range and now have a light shade and a deep shade. This sunscreen has mineral filters, including titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, and other ingredient highlights in this include ceramides, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, cholesterol, and vitamin E, and it's fragrance and essential oil free. This has a very creamy texture and compared to a lot of other sunscreens is definitely on the thicker side. But for whatever reason, it doesn't feel heavy on my skin. Like once I have fully applied this, blended it, it has sunken in. It just feels like I'm wearing a creamier moisturizer versus something that's like really heavy. I obviously only picked up the light shade and it's definitely something that is a much better match for my natural skin tone. I do feel like there's a little bit of warmth to this, but I'm also seeing some peach in here. I'm having a hard time describing this undertone. I mean, I would definitely say it's neutral. It's certainly not cool in undertone. It's not super warm, but yeah, I do see like a little bit of yellow, a little bit of peach. That's how I'm gonna describe that. And I would say that this has light coverage with a glowy to dewy finish. Like I said in that original showdown, this is definitely not the best tinted sunscreen I've ever tried, but it's a good option and I'm excited that it's now available in a couple of new shades. Last for facial skincare before we move on to body is the Bioma Barrier Repair Eye Cream. This contains a barrier lipid complex, hyaluronic acid, ectoin, copper tripeptide 1, shea butter, cacao seed extract, Japanese gold thread root extract, and is fragrance and essential oil free. I have really been enjoying this one. The texture is rich, but not too rich. Like, for example, the Naturium multi-peptide rich moisturizer, that was like too much for me, borderline greasy. This is rich enough. It's super moisturizing, it's creamy, but it doesn't feel overly heavy. And I like this better than the Barrier Cream Moisturizer that they launched a while ago now for all over the face. I just think that this feels more moisturizing. It has a texture that I enjoy more. So I will definitely continue to use this one. For body care, let's just start off with a launch that the internet was very excited about. out, EOS has come out with a body oil and whipped oil butter. Both of these are part of their Shea Butter Cashmere Vanilla Cashmere collection, which has a very, very sweet vanilla-like fragrance. Vanilla cream cheese. Gonna be too intense for some of you, I will say that. I have seen comments from people saying that they think this is disgusting, and like, I get it. This body butter contains coconut oil, shea butter, petrolatum, cacao seed butter, shea oil, and argan oil. And the texture is thick. This is definitely not for the faint of heart. It is a heavy cream, and it is something that if I like apply a little bit too much of, does feel heavy and kind of like it leaves a film on my skin, like a slippery film too. But if I don't over apply it, then I would say it's something that maybe just like takes a little bit longer to dry down and absorb. But then once it does, feels really nice and is very moisturizing. Yeah, even like on my hands now, I'm like, that's slippery at first. So if you are one of the people that is obsessed with this vanilla cashmere scent and you like a really thick, dense, creamy body butter, then this might be right up your alley. But I do think that there are body butters that are even better, that are a little bit more elevated, including one I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But first, I want to quickly review the cashmere body oil from EOS. This contains sunflower seed oil, safflower seed oil, grapeseed oil, squalane, shea oil, cacao seed butter, and argan oil. I saw some reviews saying that this has only a faint scent, and I'm like, what? I mean, I guess fainter than the body butter, which is very potent, but still, this is not like faint to me. So this is something that they say you can either use by itself or on top of moisturizer. I feel like I just like to mix it in with my moisturizer, but I did put it on by itself for review purposes, and it felt nice. It's not greasy, it's not super heavy. Does it feel like the most luxurious body oil I've ever felt? No, but that's fine by me when it's at an affordable price point, especially because I do prefer to mix it in with a lotion. I feel like then that just helps to like transform the lotion a bit, make it even softer, and I do enjoy using it in that way. Next up is the CeraVe Intensive Moisturizing Lotion for dry to very dry skin, which they recently launched as both a face and body moisturizer. So I wanted to test it out for the body. My face has not been super dry, but my body is definitely feeling the effects of this very cold, dry winter. So this was made with 5% urea in addition to hyaluronic acid, ceramides, amino acids, and shea butter. And I will show you the texture of this. It's something that is definitely quite a bit richer and thicker than the daily moisturizing lotion, but not as much as the moisturizing cream. So a lighter option than that cream if that's something that's too thick for you. So the first thing I noticed about this that I didn't love is the smell. It's fragrance and essential oil free, but just has a strange smell. I'm like, I don't know if it's oil that I'm smelling. I just really don't like it. And this is also something that I feel like never fully absorbs. It kind of just leaves my skin feeling a little bit sticky when I'm wearing it. Like my clothes are sticking to my skin. So this might be perfect for you if your face is really dry, but for body purposes, I personally wouldn't recommend. Okay, these are the body butters that oh, that almost slipped out of my hand. Got a lot of lotion on. That I was referring to as being amazing. So Saltaire launched body butters called the Multi-Lipid Body Butter, and they came out with them in their signature fragrances. So they sent me Golden Hour, Pink Beach, and Santal Bloom. These body butters contain coconut oil, linoleic acid, phospholipids, grapeseed oil, jojoba oil, sea buckthorn oil, and ceramides. And the texture of this is divine. That was like the weirdest lotion swatch ever. You know what? I'm gonna wash my hands 1 second. I wanna really appreciate how this feels and not get grossed out by the 700 layers of lotion I already have on. This is elegant. It's the perfect balance of buttery and creamy. Super moisturizing, great dry down, doesn't leave me feeling sticky, none of that film situation with the EOS body butter, not like slippy like that either. It truly feels luxe, and this Golden Hour fragrance, claw, why? I love, love, love this. This is like Way St. Bart's. Is there another one I'm spacing that has that kind of tropical scent that I love? It's in that realm where it has just like a deliciously tropical scent. So if you are a body butter kind of guy or gal, or they or them, and there is a Saltaire fragrance that you really love, you must try. Okay, this is one of those things that seemed so exciting in the moment, and looking back, I'm like, first of all, why did I even buy you, period? But like, if I was gonna buy you. Why? Don't fall. Why did I buy 4? I don't know. So when I was at Target looking at all of the new stuff, I was just feeling very overwhelmed by all the new launches. And one of the displays that they had all of these new body care products sitting out that look like shaving cream, but are not. First is the brand Sunday, which I'm pretty sure only had these sitting out, whereas the other is the brand Days, I think, or maybe they call it Daisy, but spell it weird. This one was more like a full new brand launch display where they had these, they had, I think, like body scrubs, fragrance mist, maybe deodorant spray, but I was fixated on this for whatever reason. On Sunday's website, they have 13 different fragrances. I don't think they had that many at Target, but there were definitely several. I picked up birthday cake and strawberries and cream. And then for Days, they had 4 fragrances. So I picked up coconut whip and vanilla whip. Don't they just like sound so cute? And I'm like, whipped foaming wash, I wanna try. But out of all 4 of these, I actually only like the birthday cake scent. And it's not even the best birthday cake scent I've ever smelled. It is nice. It's nice. But I didn't really love any of these other ones, especially this strawberries and cream. I was like, what is this? Weird. It just smells weird. That's not strawberries and cream. And this vanilla whip. Okay, I'm being dramatic. It's not like that face. Like, can you stop? It's not bad. It's just, this doesn't smell like vanilla to me. And coconut whip was fine. It's just, I wasn't obsessed with any of them. All 4 of these from both brands, I would say, feel soft and like, they feel nice. It's a fun experience for the first time, but after that, I'm like, I don't ever want to use this again because, is it this one or the Days brand? One of these, I'll just show you, is so hard to get out. I think it is this one. Like, they both were difficult, but one was like nearly impossible. I broke it. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. This is insane. I'll see if I can put in some shower footage here, but I was having to like hold this against my body for leverage and then like press with both fingers. I could not get this out easily. I am not doing that every time I wash my body just for some fluffy fun. These Days ones were easier, but still just like not that easy overall when I could just pump some shower gel out of a bottle. I would way rather do that. And last but not least, well, least, because of the fact that Finery came out with dupes of my 2 all-time favorite fragrances, my favorite fall winter and my favorite spring summer. So this is No Prince Required, which is clearly a dupe of Killian Princess. And this is Rosalina, which is clearly a dupe of Delina. There's just one huge problem. They're not dupes. The worst offender is No Prince Required. This says it has notes of night blooming jasmine, pink marshmallow, and amber. And when I spray this in the bottle, I'm like, you smell good, not princess, but good. But when I spray this on my skin, I swear to God, it smells like watered down Dr. Pepper. It is weird. It also fades almost immediately and has 0 projection. So like, if I sniff my wrist, I can smell it faintly, but that's about it. Fail. This one was not quite as offensive because I feel like it's closer to Delina than this is to Princess. It still is not Delina though. So this says it has notes of sparkling lychee, velvet rose, and cashmere musk. And Delina is like one of the most exquisite fragrances ever. Oh my God, I love Delina. It's so complex yet comfortable to me. And this just smells like a knockoff trying to be Delina, but really, really not. It's just like basic rose to me. I don't know. I feel like I'm being extra spicy about this only because these are my 2 all-time favorite perfumes and I'm like, what have you done? So I personally wouldn't recommend these. I think, you know, Finery does have some fragrances that smell nice, but I took personal offense to this. Oh my gosh. I think we have officially hit the limit of the number of products I can review in a video. This was too much. I've gone too far. If you watched this whole thing and you're still here and made it to the end, oh my gosh, thank you so much for watching all of this. I appreciate you so, so much, more than you know. Thank you for watching my videos. I love the freaking heck out of you guys. Make sure to stay tuned for my next one. Let's all chat in the comments below. What have you tried? What are you interested in trying after watching this? What are you skipping after watching this? And stay tuned for my next video because that will be up in a week. But until then, I hope you have a great week.